The architecture of your next purchase. When was the last time you decided to buy something? Not when you bought it, not what you bought. When did you decide? Because here's what the data actually shows. Most purchases made online today are completed before the conscious mind has finished forming the intention to buy. The decision happens, then the brain constructs a reason for it afterward. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a documented, peer-reviewed, billion-dollar engineering problem, and it has been solved against you. In 1997, Jeff Bezos identified what he believed was the single greatest threat to online commerce. Not competition, not logistics, not price, hesitation. Every additional second between a customer wanting something and actually purchasing it was, in his view, a failure of design, a gap in the system, an opportunity for the rational mind to intervene. So he framed the entire challenge as an engineering problem. How do you build a system where purchase happens faster than thought? His answer became U.S. Patent No. 5,960,411, filed September 1997, granted 1999. The patent's title was almost boring in its simplicity. Method and system for placing a purchase order via communications network. One click, stored card, stored address, no confirmation screen, done. Every step in a standard checkout, entering your address, typing your card number, reviewing your order, clicking confirm, isn't just friction. Each step is neurologically significant. Each one is a window in which your brain can reconsider. Bezos engineered those windows shut. The patent was protected for 20 years. Any company that wanted to replicate it had to license the idea directly from Amazon. In 2000, Steve Jobs, building what would become the iTunes Store, had no choice. Apple paid an estimated $1 million for the right to use a checkout button. When that patent expired in 2017, Amazon's annual revenue had grown from $148 million to $177 billion. That's not a coincidence. That's a compounding consequence. In 2007, a joint research team from Carnegie Mellon, Stanford, and MIT published a study in the journal Neuron. They placed 26 participants inside fMRI machines, devices that map real-time brain activity, gave each person $20, and showed them products available for purchase. When participants encountered prices above their expectations, one brain region activated consistently. The insula, the same cortical area associated with physical pain, disgust, and social rejection. Paying for things, neurologically, is experienced as a form of loss. But the study revealed something more important. Payment method dramatically changes this response. Credit cards significantly suppress insula activation compared to cash. When you hand over physical money, count it, feel it, watch it leave your hand, the pain signal is strong. When you tap a card or click a button, it's almost undetectable. Professor George Lowenstein, one of the study's authors, described credit cards as performing effective anesthesia on the pain of payment. Amazon didn't just accept this neuroscience. It built a product architecture around it, storing your payment details, removing every manual entry, ensuring that the physical sensation of spending money never registers. The checkout process, by design, feels like nothing at all. To understand what happens after you click, we need to go back to 1938. Psychologist B.F. Skinner was studying behavioral conditioning. He placed rats in boxes with levers, press the lever, receive food. The rats learned the pattern quickly. Then he introduced one modification. The food delivery became unpredictable. Sometimes pressing the lever produced food. Sometimes it produced nothing. The result was not confusion. The result was compulsion. The rats pressed the lever more frequently, more frantically, than when the reward was guaranteed. Skinner called this variable ratio reinforcement. And it remains, decades later, the most powerful behavioral conditioning schedule ever documented. Here is how that maps onto a modern purchase cycle. A notification arrives, algorithmically timed to a moment of low cognitive resistance. You open the app. The interface is frictionless by design. You purchase in one tap. At this moment, not when the product arrives, but at the moment of purchase, your brain releases dopamine. The reward pathway activates in anticipation of a future reward, not in response to receiving one. Then comes shipment tracking, live maps, hourly updates. Your package is 3 stops away. Neuroscience research consistently shows that dopamine peaks not at the moment of acquisition, but during anticipation. Amazon's tracking infrastructure isn't a logistics tool. It's a dopamine extension system, engineered to sustain the neurochemical reward state for as long as possible before the inevitable drop that comes with actually receiving the package. A 2023 survey found that 76% of American online shoppers reported preferring the experience of waiting for a delivery over shopping in person. They weren't describing the product. They were describing the neurological experience of anticipation. Amazon built a purchase journey that is, by design, more pleasurable than the purchase itself. Everything described so far concerns acquisition, getting you to buy. The second half of Amazon's behavioral model concerns something more ambitious, keeping you from ever leaving. In behavioral economics, the sunk cost fallacy describes a consistent human tendency. Once we've invested resources in something, we increase our commitment to it, even when continued commitment is objectively harmful, because abandoning it feels like confirming the initial investment was wasted. Amazon Prime is the most precisely engineered application of this principle in commercial history. At $139 annually, Prime appears to offer straightforward value, fast shipping, streaming content, music, storage. The exchange seems rational. But examine the behavioral data. Prime members spend an average of $1,400 per year on Amazon. Non-members spend $600. This gap isn't explained by Prime members having more purchasing intent. It's explained by what happens psychologically after you subscribe. Every time you consider purchasing from a competitor, your brain performs an automatic calculation. I already paid for free shipping. Using another platform means that money is wasted. The subscription doesn't just reward loyalty. It penalizes deviation at the neurological level before you've consciously considered an alternative, and when customers attempt to leave. Amazon's internal team named their cancellation flow the Iliad, Homer's account of a war that lasted 10 years. The process required 4 pages, 6 clicks, and 15 separate decision points. In June 2023, the Federal Trade Commission filed suit against Amazon, alleging the use of dark patterns, interface designs deliberately engineered to obstruct user intent, to enroll customers in Prime without explicit consent, and make cancellation functionally prohibitive. Internal Amazon documents introduced during proceedings contained admissions that are difficult to interpret charitably. One employee described the subscription billing system as a dark place. Another referred to charging customers for unwanted subscriptions as a cancer, one the company had chosen not to address. In September 2025, Amazon settled for $2.5 billion. $1 billion in civil penalties, the largest in FTC history, and $1.5 billion in consumer restitution. Amazon is the clearest case study. It is not the only case. The behavioral architecture Amazon pioneered in 1997 is now the operational standard across the technology industry. Variable reward notifications, frictionless one-tap purchasing, subscription structures designed around sunk cost psychology, Cancellation flows engineered to exhaust rather than accommodate. The average consumer estimates their monthly subscription spending at $86. The documented average is $219. 1 in 3 people are currently paying for a subscription service they have not used in the past month. Economists have termed these vampire subscriptions, financial obligations that persist invisibly, extracting value continuously, with a user experience carefully designed to prevent awareness. Here is what is genuinely remarkable about all of this. None of it required deception about the product itself. The products are real, the shipping is fast, the streaming works. What was engineered was not a false product, it was a decision environment. A carefully constructed context in which certain choices feel natural, inevitable, and self-generated, while others feel effortful, wasteful, or slightly wrong. You were not manipulated into wanting the wrong things. You were placed inside a system where wanting, and then buying, happens before the part of your brain responsible for evaluation has finished loading. The question isn't whether you're being influenced. The question is whether you know what kind.